So a little while back I did a review of a hammock that was about to come to market, and I titled it The Future of Hammocks. And in all honesty, the setup and the way it works is fantastic. It's got some really good and clever little ideas. However, it wasn't 100%, and I found a few little niggly things within it that needed to be improved, not just could be, but needed to be improved to make it into a really decent hammock. So they held off on the launch, and they've redesigned it and revised it, and hopefully sorted out the little problems that I had with it, and they've sent it out to me again now. So this is the new version. It is being launched on Kickstarter. You can currently register for it at the moment. I think for the price they've got it at the moment as well, it is a really good bargain. So I'll put a link in the description below if you do want to register your interest in it and purchase one of the first ones that come out. This hammock will set up in one go in 2 minutes. It is literally just 2 tree straps attached to the hammock, and that's it, because it's all in one. So they call this a 3-in-1 hammock. So basically you can have it as a full hammock setup with a bug mesh and a tarp like that. You can have it as a hammock on its own, just open, so if it's nice weather in the summer. You can have it as a tarp as well, so you can completely remove the hammock from it, and you can also have it as a ground tent using poles or tying it up to trees. So it gives you several different options. So if you go somewhere where it's not 100% perfect for camping, you're pretty much going to find some way of setting this up and giving you a shelter. Now, I know I've said this before, but most hammock setups tend to be pretty heavy. The last time I weighed this, my first one was 1.2 kilos, just over. This comes in at 1.4. Obviously, they've made a few changes to it. Maybe that's made a difference to the weight. But the big issue I had was with the mat. And when I had the mat inside it, it slipped around inside the sleeve where the mat fitted. So they come up with a new idea. I have not tried this out yet, so you'll be seeing this as I see it. And they've also developed a mat themselves that fits inside here and has little grommets and tie points, so it holds it in the right place inside the hammock. Now you can of course put any mat inside the hammock, or you can use an underquilt if you want to, but this is the sleep mat they provide with it. It only weighs 415 grams. Now I don't believe it's got any kind of insulation value to it, particularly at that weight and the price of the package it comes in, and it's a very small little pack size, but you know, it depends if you go winter camping or not. So you might use this and an underquilt, or you might swap this out for a higher R-rated value mat. Now inside the pack you get 2 hammock straps. Now last time I thought these were going to be a bit too short, and in effect they were actually too long. I had to wrap them around the trees. So ideal distance is going to be around 4.5 to 5 meters apart, which these trees are. And there is one little tip on this which I will show you, because I didn't do it the first time round, and it helped it out massively when connecting the tarp to the straps after you connected the hammock up to it. One of the things I noticed was that you did have to set this up pretty high, because it is the tarp and the hammock strap. So higher than I normally would do for the actual hammock. This is where I would normally put the tarp on its own. Now I think this is probably going to be too long, so I might have to wrap it around the tree twice. I'll get the other one out and I'll see how it works. So once you've got the tree straps up, the hammock is packaged with one carabiner sticking out. So attach this to one of the daisy chains. What I would say is attach it lower down than what you normally would do, just because you need 1 or 2 further up to tension out the actual fly sheet on it. And then we just pull it out and unravel it. You can keep the bag attached to it on the end if you want to, but even with this fairly thick tree, I've had to wrap it around twice. Now, admittedly, I've just measured this, we're exactly 4 meters, so we're at the lower end of the scale for where this hammock needs to be, between 4 and 5 meters, so that should work. Okay, maybe go one more up, I think. You do have to have this fairly tight because it is the ridge line for the hammock as well. So that is basically your hammock attached. Now I've already attached the tarp at the other end, but on here there is another carabiner just here, and you just stretch this out as far as you can and attach it to one of the loops further up. And this is what I was saying before about making sure that you've got plenty of daisy chain loops further up so you can stretch that out. So once that is done, then all you've got to do is guy out 2 guide points on the tarp, 2 each side. And I've just noticed a little change that they've made, which is a really clever little idea, and I'm already quite excited about, because I didn't realise they were changing that, and again it was something that I mentioned on my first video. What's quite nice is I did say this before, there's a little pouch inside here, so that's where you tuck your guy line away. Now this is a Dyneema guy line with a bungee cord on it as well. Because the hammock is attached to the tarp, if there's any wind or you moving about, you're going to be pulling the guy line on the actual tarp as well. So that little bungee cord just allows it to have some flex as you're moving in and out of the hammock. So not only does it have a bungee cord at the end, you've also got a line lock on here, so you can tighten it up nicely when you've got it set out in the place you want it. Well, hopefully you can see this. There's a lot of glare here. So one of the things I noticed on the other hammock was there was poppers on here. So this would pop together, and there is a popper at the top here. I don't know if you can see that, if it's in the picture. There's a popper there, and there was a popper at the bottom. And there was two loops at the bottom here. So you could just leave it loose, dangling, or you could get your own cord and run it through. But now they've added a really nice little touch. So they've actually got a proper clip to attach these two together with a loop on the end, so you can then tighten this up so you've got it taut, and then with this loop stick another stake in the ground, and then you've got that pinned down nice and tight. Clever little idea. Blends in really, really well with the background, this green. Their main advert has to be in bright orange, I'm not sure why, but there you go. So this is it now, fully set out in hunkered down mode. So I've got the ends all tied down, pop it up together, and the guy line's out. Tarp is nice and taut. Show you inside. So this time I've got the bag on the correct side. So you've got a little hanging bag here, so you can put bits and pieces in, which will be outside of your hammock obviously when you're zipped up, and it's got a toggle to tie it up nice and taut. So I've got the zip done all the way to the top, undone to the top. This will zip all the way around and down this side, so you can totally disconnect the hammock from the tarp. But what's quite nice is where you can see the mesh on this side attached to the actual hammock itself. Sitting here, you can unzip it, and you've got elastic toggles as well. I love elastic toggles. Simple little thing, but they are a million times better than any other toggle that they put on tents and on doors. So you've got elastic toggles on there, so this just keeps the bug mesh tucked away, out of the way nicely. At the top here, you've got a free moving bag. Now, I'll go into this bag in a minute, but first off, you've got a massive space in the middle here, so you can put your phone in there, charger and what have you. But you've then got 3 pouches on each side, so you've got 6 pouches to put bits and pieces, keys, wallet, you know, change, anything. It will fit in there. Now a lot of people talk about these pouches where obviously you have a prusik knot either side, which I've got on my one Tigris, and it's sort of great because it keeps it in place so it doesn't slide from one end of the hammock to the other. I've never found an issue. What I have found an issue is that during the night I'm laying down, my head and my arms are up one end, so if I've got my phone and bits and pieces, I'll put it in here. I then can't push it away from me, so as I'm laying in the hammock it's right above my head, and it's annoying, and you can't slide it along because the prusik knots, you've got to be able to get hold of the knot, take it all the way down to the end. With this, you literally just put your foot on it and just push it and just whip it out of the way, and then you want it back in the morning or in the middle of the night, you put your foot on it and you just drag it back up again. It's so much easier and so much better than one with prusik knots. So the ridge line goes through the hammock at the end here, and you have these little toggle ties, one at each end. So if you want, you can undo the fly sheet, roll it back up the top, just have it still attached to the hammock, but just tied up in a tube going across the top. So you can just lay here in the sunshine and chill out. But if you want some shade, then you can just wrap it down again. But as I said before, you can completely disconnect this hammock from the tarp, so you can have it just as a basic plain hammock for just laying in and chilling out in, or sleeping in if the weather suits and there's no midges. Or you can have it fully enclosed, or a little bit of both. It's really, really versatile. All around the hammock are these hooks. So there are, I think, 5, at least 4 each side, and with that you can then connect your quilt using the little bungee cords that come with the quilts. Connect it to that. That's going to hold it nice and neatly all the way around you. You haven't got to worry about it slipping underneath you in the night. Right, I'm going to get the mat out and I'm going to inflate it. I haven't seen any hooks or loops inside that it's supposed to have to attach to the mat. And I probably won't be able to film it while I'm doing it because it's under the tarp. So I may just show you it afterwards. I'll have a look. So in trying to be a bit stealthy, I thought rather than use my pump to blow the mattress up, I'll do it by mouth so that it's nice and quiet. I'm wondering if it's a mating call or some kind of weird creature, and in a minute I'm going to get attacked. That's horrific. I'm sorry. But that's really bad. I'm going to try my pump just to see if that works any better. Right, let's just see if it was me and I'll turn into some kind of inventive musician, or if it is the valve itself. There is the valve. Luckily the noise of the pump is taking over a bit of the noise of the howl. But at least this will be quicker. Actually now it's opened up a bit. It's fine. Might be just because it's new, it's stuck a bit. Yeah, fine now. Okay, so this is the mat. It's quite nice looking, I like the colour. Green matches the tent. Tarp. It seems to have a natural curl to it, and obviously with these sort of V striations on the side make it easier to roll into you. What I have noticed is on the back, why don't all manufacturers do this? They've actually already put siliconized grip on there. Just in a sense of, realistically you only need it in one spot. That's a really nice little touch. Thermarest, everyone, take note of that. Decathlon actually do it on some of their mats as well. But yeah, nice little touch. So basically on each corner there is a little rubber loop going through a hole in the mat. Now I'm assuming this hasn't got to be too tight because you don't want to be ripping that. But let's get it in the hammock and I'll see how it works. So you can see it's a bit dark in here. So the mat is in place. It is actually very, very tough to get in because it sticks really, really well, a bit too well to the material. But basically inside here, at the point where these outer toggles are for a quilt, there is another one of these on the inside, and that hooks on to each corner of the mat. And then you can see it's given you this more structured bed. It does look quite banana shaped to me. I don't know if the toggles are too close together lengthwise. Should be further out. And I thought they went angled across. It may be that you only do one corner, I think. May have to have a play with that. Okay, so that immediately feels better. I have undone the top right hand corner of the mat on that hook and the bottom left hand corner down here. So that means it's pulled one foot end over to the one side and the head end over to the other, so you've got more of a diagonal lay. And it's not going to move because obviously it's still connected to the top section here, but it immediately looks flatter and less restricted. Okay, so I am in the hammock. I've just been laying here for a few minutes, and what I noticed was if you laid a flat lay diagonal, then you were sort of off the mat and felt like you were falling out of the hammock to the right. So I've just gone out and readjusted the mat. So I think even though it's attached to this corner and the opposite diagonal corner, that it gathers up part of the hammock. So I've just got out and I've pulled it, pushed it away one end, and then pushed it away the other end, so it's pushed right into each corner. And I am pretty much flat for a banana shaped hammock. It's pretty flat. The majority of me is on the mat, apart from my right shoulder. So if this was cold, you know, it might give me a bit of an issue. It's not cold weather at the moment. But I suppose you could use this in conjunction with an underquilt, because this doesn't really serve any thermal benefits to you. This mat is not an R-rated mat, but I'm pretty flat and comfy. So the mat is sort of where my feet is, but then goes up, because obviously as soon as you go over a diagonal lay, one side of the hammock will pull down. So the mat is sort of here, and you can't lay directly on it unless you sort of push down there. See, now I'm fairly on it there, but it would mean I'd have to lay dead flat on my back for the night and not move. And in that position, on this side, the mat sort of stops there. You can see my shoulder jutting out. So if I bring myself in and on the mat, it's not too bad. It's fairly flat. It is a fairly flat lay. Better than a normal banana shaped hammock anyway. So I do tend to move about and make lots of noise. Side sleep. In fetal position, you can do it. You end up with a crick in your back otherwise if you try and stretch out. But yeah, you could curl up inside here quite easily. And it is nice and wide. There is a lot of space. It's hard to see on here. I haven't got my wide lens on, but there is a lot of space to display out. It doesn't come around you. So a lot of hammocks will sort of just wrap around you and you feel really enclosed, whereas this is nice and open. And obviously if the weather was bad and the wind was high, you could change the angle of the tarp and bring it down to give you more protection, but it's a nice day today for a change. Right, well I'm all set up now, pretty much ready to go. I'm going to get some food on in a minute, and I'll spend the night in this hammock. I'll tell you what it is like in the morning. Right, the temperature's dropped, it is getting late, so I'm going to hit the sack and I will let you know what I think of this hammock in the morning and tell you how comfy it was or wasn't. Good morning. So, how was the hammock? Well, first off I want to just say that I love the overall design of this hammock. I think it has got some great innovative little ideas for its pack size and its weight. I really, really like it, and I will use it again. I think going forward, an underquilt is going to be the way, and not the mat. So, I don't want to put this hammock down, because I think they're trying to do something that is almost impossible in this type of hammock, and it's very hard to explain the reasons why without me using some kind of computer generated image, which I can't do. I do not have the skill set to do for you. A gathered end hammock, as you can see behind me, is wide in the middle, pinched at the ends. Now if you want to sleep flat and it's a wide enough gathered hammock, then you can cross at an angle, you know, not so much 45 degrees, but at least an angle across it, so that you get a relatively flat lay in that pinched angle. Now, obviously when you're laying straight across it, it gathers up around you. There's a natural curvature to the hammock, and that's never going to go. If you go across it, that curvature comes up one side and up the other side, so it's diagonal across it. So when you put a mat in that curved hammock that's curved both ways, if it's straight across it, the sides of the mat are going to roll up and you're going to be banana shaped. So for it to be flat, it's got to be at an angle, which is obviously what those tie-out points do. They pull it one corner to the other corner so that the mat goes across it, and it achieves it to a point. When you start laying in that angle, the gathered sides of the hammock starts to roll one corner of the mat up that side and that corner of the mat up the other side. So imagine if you got a square sheet of paper and rolled it at an angle, that's the curvature you get. So because it's not then square-ended, it's then at an angle like that, you're losing most of the mat. So your feet are in the top corner of the mat, hanging off of it, and your right shoulder, as I showed you last night, is in the other top corner opposite, diagonally opposite, and off the mat. So you can't lay, and I tried it a million times last night, moving and changing. You cannot lay fully flat on the mat. The mat curves up one way or the other. It does help give it some structure. So I think if you paired it with an underquilt, it would be a lot better. But I found last night the temperature got down a lot more than what I thought it was going to be. So it was quite chilly. I was okay, but my shoulder was really cold. I could feel the cold on my feet. At points I could feel the cold underneath me, because obviously, as I said, it's not an insulated mat, but it's not winter, so, you know, I'm not going to freeze. But I could lay flat in it, so as long as I didn't move too much, you know, the hammock is wide enough to be able to lay diagonally across it. So I think if you took the mat out completely, put an underquilt on it, it would probably be a lot more comfortable, I think. I just don't think this works very well with a mat. Now, I always say that nothing is perfect. Don't take this as a negative to this tent, this hammock, that it is not a good hammock. It is a good hammock. The setup is great. I love the ideas that are incorporated into this hammock. It is comfortable, you know, as a normal shaped hammock. It's a comfortable hammock. There's loads of space inside it, tons. I love the mesh that is attached to the hammock itself. It works really, really well. You know, at the moment I've got the tarp up high and attached to trees, so I can still sit in here, kept out of the elements. I can cook underneath it. It's not as big as a normal sort of tarp that you'd have separate, or at least not as big as my tarp that I would normally use. But that in itself ends up with a whole package that is smaller and lighter than the majority of tarp stroke hammock combinations. So I think going forward, if you use this just without the mat and with an underquilt, it would work a lot better. So as I said before, this is available on Kickstarter, so I'll put a link in the description below if you do want to order it and put your name down for it. I do recommend it overall. It's just a niggle of the mat. So if you do order it, I would order it without a mat like you would do a normal hammock, and buy or use an existing underquilt if you've got one. And you will not be upset with this as a hammock, I guarantee you. It is very comfortable, very innovative and very light, and it's a nice small pack size as well. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, if you did find it informative, please hit that like button, and as always, if you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all on the next one.